welcome Kaveesha to our Shero's journey.
Yes.
Yes, a fellow breath worker.
Yes, online coach and for breathwork and trauma release. And Kaveesha.
Looking forward to this story.
Yes, to the Shero's journey.
Yeah, she shares a very similar source to us.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, beautiful beings. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I couldn't agree more what you just said about there are clearly similarities in the journeys that the three of us went through. So yeah, that's also why I felt the calling to come on with you and, share a little bit of my world.
Yeah, so maybe if you give us a little bit of your backstory.
What drew you to?
Yeah, what was happening in your life before you were drawn into breath work, and then what happened, and yeah, what's gone on? What have you overcome? Dragons.
Yeah. the dragons. All right, where to start? So let's look maybe 10 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago, I was the very stereotypical corporate woman, strong, independent, successful. I had graduated from the University of Economics in Vienna with a business degree. I started working in the tech company and on the tech industry. And I made my way up the career ladder. And there was always the rat race was going on a daily level, and there was always something on the outside that I was chasing. Now I know it was, confirmation that I'm worthy, achieving, doing. But back then, that was just like the way you live life. Also, my friends and my social circles around me were living the same life. So, yeah, that's how you do live,
like a magpie chasing the shiny objects.
Yes, the shiny object, and it's always on the outside. It could be the shiny object of launching a new product and making it really successful, or it could be traveling around the world for 2 weeks and exploring something new, or it could be like surrounding myself with people that I found super interesting. So I love your expression of the shiny object in the outside that were like, I want this, I want this, I want that. Yeah. So that was me before I found breathwork. Absolutely. And it was like, because I actually thought back then that I was very self-reflected. That's the interesting part, I had been in talking therapy for about 20 years. So I was aware that there's, I need to do something, and I analyzed all my problems from every possible angle, and I thought I was actually quite self-aware, and talking about what has happened in my childhood really gave me a temporary relief, but I found myself in the same old pattern over and over again. There was still this emptiness inside of me that followed me wherever I went. When I was at work, when I went on vacation, when I was out with friends. And it felt just like a missing piece of a puzzle got lost somehow. And I didn't know or have a clue where to find it. Because on paper, I had ticked all the boxes. I was living a life that many people in Western society would really aspire to have. And yeah, I was like stressed constantly, and I definitely was twice close to a burnout, but I didn't want to look at that.
The shiny object.
Exactly. And I mean, being close to a burnout in the corporate environment, that's kind of like business as usual. Everybody has that. So it was actually more confirmation that I was doing something right. So it was really only when I explored myself with somatic experiences, really including the body, that I could feel in my physical body that I was numb, that I had built a thick wall around my heart to protect me. And I could feel that in my body. It felt like these bricks being like, boom, nothing's gonna get in here.
Yeah.
Belt of tension.
Yes, absolutely. So that's really when I had this for the first time, sensing in my physicality how numb I was and how much tension and protection and armor I was carrying in my body. That's when the universe showed me more and more healing opportunities that took a holistic approach. So in the beginning, it was more like embodiment, dancing, using dance to connect with my inner child and letting it just play for the fun of it, you know. But then also breathwork, plant medicine, tantra. And yeah, the longing to be of service really was triggered when, for the first time, I felt my essence. It was actually in a retreat called the Path of Love. And it's a 7-day retreat. And what I experienced there is really like day by day, we peeled off layers of my conditioning, my programming, the expectations that I put on myself or other people put on myself, moving through different layers of shadows as well, and really accepting them. And there was this experience where with every fiber and cell of my body, I could feel my true self with all the gifts that I can provide to the world, really, because the layers were off and I reached my core. Like, it was really this unique flavor of Kaveesha. And it was like different physical sensations in my bodies. And it was just like, wow. I mean, this is fucking me. That's amazing.
I think one of the things you were just pointing to there, is that when we mention the word trauma, everyone thinks it's got to be an accident or a single big bad event.
Like car accident or something
yeah,
huge.
or abuse or whatever. But
being in a corporate world, it can be traumatic.
It's the conditioning of the outside world, wherever it's coming from, is trying to convince you that you're something that in your core you're not. That, oh yeah, you need this shiny object. Yeah, the secret is it's here, it's there. When all the time it's just getting you to turn away from your true self, your true nature. And it's like with this idea of trauma release, it doesn't mean it's all about a big single event. It's life's conditioning as well, which can in many ways be like a bigger trauma. Yeah, sorry for interrupting. I'll let you carry on.
No, I absolutely agree that also what many people are not aware about is that there are different types of trauma. Yes, there is this one single event, the shock trauma, the car accident, you know, being a situation that was life-threatening. That absolutely is trauma. But then there's also, you know, the small events that just accumulate over time, and most likely happens in a time where we maybe can't even remember, you know. So yeah, I totally agree. And then we build a personality, we build a protection mechanism, a safety seeking mechanism, how I like to call them. Yeah, are getting sucked into what other people want us to be.
So eventually you decided to quit the corporate world.
Yes. So when during Path of Love, when I felt my essence for the first time, there it was clear, you know, that the environment that I'm in does not support me. I quit my corporate job shortly after, and then I started searching.
The call to action.
The call to action, yes. And I started searching for healing modalities that really resonated with me. And with my personal story, especially in my childhood, I was very drawn to trauma healing, in particular, healing the inner child. And so I tried out different modalities, but ultimately I was drawn to biodynamic breathwork and trauma release because it's such a holistic approach to combine the breath, the touch, movement, sound creation, conscious emotional release, and meditation to release trauma from the body. And really letting the body be in the driver's seat rather in the passenger seat, letting it lead the way, and tapping into the innate wisdom that all of us carry. I mean, we know exactly what we need. It's not someone else that can dictate that for us. So it's really utilizing our body's wisdom and our body's natural healing powers, because our body is built to heal, you know. And if we just let it do its thing, it does its thing. And also what attracted me with biodynamic breathwork is learning more about the 5 personality patterns, the safety seeking strategies that we have created depending on what we experience the first 6 to 8 years in our life. And for me, I actually finding out what is the, you know, where my developmental trauma happens, not because my parents didn't love me or hated me or wanted to hurt me, simply because of the circumstances in life. You know, my mom was a single mom. She had to go back to work very early, so she was not around for me to take care of me. And with that, or due to that, I could not attach to her. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I always felt empty and never felt loved, and couldn't attach to other people, and could not, build up relationships that were intimate and authentic. And, having this access to this knowledge now, and also knowing, okay, how can I heal my developmental wounds through breathwork, but also things like, for me, self-care. Expressing my needs, knowing my needs firstly, and then expressing them instead of being sneaky and hiding and manipulating. Using the bit.
Yeah, one of the things that I love that you just said that resonated with me really well was about being able to have authentic relationships. Before going to BBTRS for me, after being hurt in a breakup, I'd been single for almost 20 years. So, no, get away. And then from BBTRS, I met Aisha, and our relationship, now it's turned into a marriage, has been brand new. It's like one I couldn't have imagined experiencing. Both of us coming into it with a refusal to put masks on. And it's we're about to do a video soon about communication triggers. For us now, triggers, this is great. You've triggered me. Right, where's this come from? And it's starting to, it's like normally what can happen in relationships, for whatever reason, I act something out and may trigger, let's say, something in Aisha, which causes her to then throw something back at me. And it's like you start throwing things back and forth. But what's happened, it's happened right the way through for us, but it's got smoother and smoother. It's like as if someone starts to throw something, very quickly we can stop, catch it, let's put it over there. Okay, right, what is this? Instead of it getting lost in this mad game of trigger tennis. Anyway, I'll let you carry on. Sorry, I get excited.
So breathwork and trauma release, BBTRS, led you to really deal deeply with your core wounds, and really when you came back after the trainings, you decided to share it with people and inspire others.
Yeah. So when I left my corporate job, I already could sense within I'm gonna be self-employed, I'm gonna open my own company. It was really more like seeking which modality am I gonna use. So after the first training module, I was like, this is it,
Yeah.
found it, thank you universe. So that's about a year and a half ago when I opened my own company and now bring biodynamic breathwork and trauma release to my clients, to the living rooms online. It's just, it's such a nourishing way of being. I wouldn't even call it working anymore. I would
Yeah.
being resonates stronger with me. So it nourishes me financially, but it also nourishes me emotionally. And it's just, even with my clients, the connections, the authentic connections that you just mentioned, also
It's not
that happens.
empty,
Yeah.
but it's sometimes some way it's a different connection to it when it used to be. I exactly resonate with you. As you know, our story is very similar. We both were in a corporate world. We heard the calling, and we end up being breath workers. And exactly how you described it is how I feel. It's like feeling this beautiful connection. It's not working anymore. It's being. I love it.
And connecting with people in a way that is not how it used to be. Yeah, I've got my special connection here, but even just now chatting with you, Kaveesha, well, I can feel the connection. But then compared to when we're in a breathing session with a client, it becomes so thick and tangible, and it's such an honourable experience.
Yeah.
It's quite a profound thing, and it's doesn't really can't come out in words.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It really is this, I feel honored and humble that people trust me, holding space for them. Coming from a place where I was very, I did not trust people, and it was such a scary thing to open up, to be vulnerable, to be raw. It's literally like, cracking my chest open and showing you what's inside. And back then, I like just imagining that, it was like the instant reaction was like someone's going to take a dagger and stab it into my heart. So therefore, let's close it. So being now on the side where people trust me with, their process, and that I support them in their healing journey, I feel, I know how much it takes to trust someone else. So that was makes me, also now makes my tear water out of gratitude. That
When you are telling about it, I really feel like tears coming out to my eyes as well. It's just you can't describe it with the words. It's feel to heal.
And what resonated with me is just the word vulnerability. And as we actually, with for me, with vulnerability, it's like becoming naked. It's that there's so much fear surrounding it. Yeah, as all the clothing, the outward stuff slips away. It's such a beautiful and liberating experience to have. Oh,
beautiful. Thank you.
mm-hmm.
So you are available for online sessions, and we can post underneath the website so people can find you, can connect with you.
Yes, beautiful.
And if you would like to add something on at the end of our interview, that this was like really touching, and it really like shake my heart.
It's actually something that was mentioned earlier today about triggers. That was really a huge learning, and it's still part of my process daily sometimes. To be grateful about triggers and people that trigger you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a gift that we receive when we get triggered. It really is what you described, instead of falling into the bouncing, throwing back and forth, like taking the trigger, like putting it on the table and looking at it. Okay, what was that? Why was I triggered? What was touched inside of me that feels vulnerable, that feels raw, and what does it, what needs protection? And usually under the wound lies an unmet need. And then going into, okay, how can I meet this need for me? And when I do this journey, I come back to my essence. So that's something I would like to leave with you and the audience from my little toolbox.
One lesson that I'd like to add is, I think one of the big things, and one of the reasons for doing these interviews and wanting to talk to more breath workers, is if anyone has found themselves watching this may be a call for you, a call to your action. And if breathwork appeals to you, one of the big things is finding someone that you feel, that you really resonate with. And if Kaveesha resonates with you, take up the call.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been beautiful. Ooh.
Yeah.
Tickling me deeply.